Nubreed, Global Truth. Mic check, mic check, mic check. One in the chat if y'all can hear me. All right, we good to go. What's going on, Key? Spirit and True. B. Ferguson. Unveiled Woman. Tanya. Grace Hill. New Glip, what's going on? Saki Ya. Lucas in the building. Spirit and True. Okay. We are live. Welcome to another broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. We got a very serious discussion this evening. Hope everybody enjoyed their weekend so far. And I hope you're ready for this edification. Now, as you enter the broadcast, make sure you hit it with a like button. What we're discussing this evening is what is inevitable. The prophecies are coming true. The famine is right around the corner. The lack of resources, the lack of bread is right around the corner. And the news media are putting the information out there to avoid karmatic debt. They have to make it clear what's going on because they have to warn you. Because if they don't warn you, then they believe that the karma comes back on them. There's a reason why your millionaires and billionaires been getting underground bunkers. There's a reason why they've been moving into the mountains, in caves and caverns. They've been preparing for what they had planned. Now, of course, the Most High is going to have the last laugh. Make no mistake about that. And of course, the righteous will never be forsaken. But make no mistake about it. Time is drawing nigh. And it's very important to become Holy Spirit filled and do not be negligent with your responsibilities. Malcolm X once said, the future is for those who prepare for it. I find that to be very, very true. So on the news right now, we are on MSNBC, and they're saying that we will have empty shelves if negotiations with China take too long. Now, listen, prophetically, we will have empty shelves because that's the plan. That's the plan from the globalist elite. That's the plan from the shadow governments of the earth. And this must happen. Now, of course, for the righteous, this too shall pass, but it's inevitable. Now, I want to go ahead and play the news here.
The conversation, we have CNBC senior analyst and commentator Ron Insana and Yale Law School Paul Tsai China Center senior fellow Sam Sachs. Welcome to you both. Ron, you first here. Markets are rebounding. The April jobs report was better than expected, but the president is not backing down from most of his unilateral tariffs, including those on China. What will be the near future impact on the economy, and is a recession still possible?
Yeah, I think we've backed away a little bit from recession risk, only insofar as.
Well, I have updates on that information regarding the recession. Of course, I'm going to cover that real soon. Just be patient. But the truth of the matter is, we will be having a recession. And also, they know exactly what they're doing. All right? Now, hold on one moment. I'm just looking at something in my chat, getting something straight. One moment. All right, let's continue.
As the underlying economy, pre-tariff anyway, has been doing reasonably well. I mean, the GDP figures that we saw earlier in the week were somewhat misleading, and there's some underlying strength in consumer spending and business investment. The trade numbers, because of the pull forward of imports ahead of the tariffs, kind of messed up the GDP math a little bit.
Now let's go to them scriptures. You already know how we go, right? Second Esdras 16 and 21. Behold, victuals shall be so good, cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case, and even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. Now, I want you to reminisce of a time where things were cheaper, where things were easily accessible, where things were affordable. Well, even then, ladies and gentlemen, evil was growing upon the earth. So I want you to understand that the reason why this is happening is because of the sin that's on earth. Famine comes because of the sin. So think back in the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, when things was affordable, when life was fun, when life was, adventurous, because you can afford to do certain things. You can pay your rent and still be able to live life. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, the sin have grown. So we are so far past that. We're just so far past that, right, at the moment. So prophetically, we are in a certain stage right now. Now, I'm going to continue to break this down so you can really get a full perspective of what's taking place in the world right now. Let's continue.
And made it look like we were contracting when we were probably still growing. And then the labor market numbers that we got on Friday were reasonably strong. We're seeing some deceleration, though, in the economy. We're hearing it from airline companies. We're hearing it from hospitality companies. We're hearing it from consumer companies. McDonald's, for instance, had its worst same-store sales since the pandemic. And so it does appear that consumers are pulling in their horns. The big question here, Alex, as you rightly point out, is how long will this process last of trying to negotiate a deal, especially with China? If it drags on for months and months and months, we will not see goods from China coming to our shores. We will see empty shelves, and that will raise the risk of recession, layoffs, and other types of contractions.
Now, let's make this clear. They're already positioning themselves for this to happen. This is the reason why they laid off 20,000 people at UPS. This is the reason why there has been massive layoffs or widespread layoffs all across the country, because they already are positioning for this to take place. When you have less goods and less services, you're going to have less use for employees. All right? Now, the scriptures talk all about it. You know we're going to go there, right? I want to go to 2 Esdras 15 and 19. And a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. That's right, brothers and sisters, because of lack of bread. Now, we cannot say when these things are going to happen. And when I make my material, I'm not giving you a date. I'm not saying it's going to happen next week, next month, or next year. But what I'm trying to express to you is the direction that society is going. This is what it's leading up to. And this is the reason why people lose the faith. Because they start trying to put time stamps on what's going to happen, opposed to reading the scriptures and what it's actually saying. So this is the beginning of the collapse. Now, this is what it's coming to, a lack of bread. Right now, what's going on? Walmart and Target, they warned the U.S. President, Trump, that if Trump doesn't come with negotiations with China, that they're going to have high inflation and empty shelves. That's the beginning. Laying off 20,000 workers at UPS. That's the beginning. Imagine how many other companies that affect. See, Babylon is falling. It's falling. Now let's continue.
That businesses and adjustments that businesses will have to make in order to ride out this storm, however long it lasts.
So, Sam, China agreed to begin trade talks with the U.S., but only if Trump removes his unilateral tariffs. And Trump said he's not lowering those 145% levies unless Beijing gives the U.S. something he considers substantial.
See, our president believes that America's still in control when he is sadly mistaken. And pride cometh before the fall. It's going to get bad. The book of Baruch tells you in 2 and 3 that a man should eat the flesh of his own son and the flesh of his own daughter. Yes, there's going to come a time where there's going to be cannibalism. There's going to be cannibalism going on all over the world. That's how bad it's going to get at some point. Remember, the scripture says if the Most High did not interrupt and intervene, that no flesh would survive what mankind is doing to the world. No flesh would survive it. Now, this is the reality of the situation that a lot of people find hard to digest. But the truth is simply that, the truth.
Do you see China blinking first? I mean, how far will President Xi go in inflicting pain on the Chinese people in order to win this trade war?
Well, first, Alex, I'd say there's confusion about whether the two sides are even talking. The indication as of Friday is...
Now, China has already made it very evident that America and China are not in negotiations and that Donald Trump is lying to the public. He wouldn't even tell you who they were in communication with. I already shared that news. But you got a lot of cult members, part of the MAGA cult, who don't want to hear truth because they worship Donald Trump as an idol, right? But the truth is the truth. China is already in a better position than America now. China was here before America, and they will be here afterwards. Let's go.
China said they're considering talks. Earlier, Trump said he's waiting for Xi Jinping to call, and now we're talking. And the Ministry of Foreign Affairs denied that as fake news.
Yep. China denied having talks with Trump. And I don't blame them for not wanting to talk with Trump when Trump is being prideful and arrogant. Let's go.
I think Xi and the leadership in Beijing does not want to look weak. They don't want to have a President Zelensky moment in the White House. So right now we're still in a game of chicken about our talks actually happening.
Which, let me ask you, Yamiche, because this week, the last Chinese cargo ships carrying goods without Trump's crippling tariffs, they arrived in U.S. ports. Chinese imports have steadily plummeted since Trump's tariffs went into effect, and American consumers can soon expect price hikes and potentially empty shelves. So how is the White House responding to these concerns? I mean, when might negotiations
How is the White House responding to the empty shelves? Let's see.
with Beijing begin? Are they saying anything about it that we can factually sort of corroborate with China?
Well, Alex, that is the key question. When will these negotiations actually start? It's not clear when that's going to happen. As you said, China's ministry has said that if the U.S. wants to start negotiations, that they need to do away with these unilateral tariffs. And they also...
Well, Trump has already made it very clear that he is not going to get rid of the 145% unilateral tariff. Matthew 24:7 says, "For nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. The famine is coming. The nations not being able to trade, two of the main nations, that is going to result in a whole lot of famine, right? The scriptures tell us in Isaiah, actually, let's go to Lamentations 4:9, that the slain, it says that they that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger. It's going to come a time where people who slain with the sword will be better off than those who are enduring the hunger, who end up dying from hunger. Telling you, man, these scriptures speak.
Said that the U.S. has expressed interest in wanting to start negotiations. They've also, because there's been a lot of statements out of China, they've said at one point that the U.S. needs to stop putting out confusing information and really misleading people into thinking that these negotiations are happening. Of course, President Trump has been saying, well, yeah, there are talks happening. I have talked to President Xi. What's clear is that he hasn't talked to him since these tariffs went into effect and this escalating trade war got started. So it's just not clear when this is going to happen. And U.S. officials, White House officials are essentially saying, especially through the National Security Council, the last statement we got was that there are still conversations happening through normal diplomatic channels. That was the language there, but it's just not clear when these negotiations will actually get started and when these two leaders, which are really going to be at the heart of whether or not this thing can get worked out, whether or not President Xi and President Trump can really sit down and work this out. We're just not clear when that's going to happen and if it's going to happen at all.
Yeah. And Republicans, Ron, are trying to figure out how to pay for the trillions in.
Now, I want all you Republicans to consider, do you believe that China's shelves will be empty if they don't negotiate? That's the $1 million question. The answer is no. China, their shelves are not going to be empty if they don't sit down and negotiate with America. But President Trump has received several warnings from each industry, each major retailer, that your shelves are going to be empty if you don't negotiate. Now, that's just something to consider. Pride come before the fall. That's the theme that we see coming from President Trump. That is the common theme right there. Now, let's continue here.
Tax cuts in President Trump's big, beautiful spending package. The administration says tariffs will pay for the tax cuts and then pay down the national debt. Doing the math, does this add up for you?
No, I mean, not even in the least. When you look at this, and he also, by the way, the president brought up the notion of eliminating income taxes for people who make under $200,000. Then he floated the notion of eliminating the income tax altogether. If you wanted to do that, not that it would be possible, you would have to have 125% tariffs on all goods coming to the United States. You know, we have income taxes a total around $4 trillion, and we have about $3 trillion worth of imports. So in order to make any of those numbers work, you really have to engage in some, fantastical math in order to arrive at some of the conclusions the president has. So, and this is not the way you do it, because when you do impose massive tariffs, you also get a drop off in demand because prices go up and products disappear.
Let's go to them scriptures. Let's go. Job 1:10. The field is wasted. The land mourneth, for the corn is wasted. The new wine is dried up, and the oil languished. That's what's going to happen to a lot of the major farmland. Why? Because of mass deportation. Why? Because the superficial, rich, wealthy elite are going to be buying up the land to do God knows what with. More than likely, they're going to be using it to hide from judgment. Meanwhile, all this land that's available. Let me tell you something. When you ride down a country road, all you see is acre upon acre upon acre upon acre. There's enough land where each family can have 40 acres. That's how vast the landscape is in America. But you have these manipulators who want to control all the farmland. We should not, this is the issue. We should not even be relying on the grocery stores. We shouldn't even be relying on retailers. We shouldn't even be relying on none of that. Man, it's something when you can see the world for what it's supposed to be, man. You can't unsee it. How many of y'all being edified at the moment, man, by show of ones in the chat, as well as, man, hit the likes. Let's get the engagement all the way up. Talk to me in the chat. All you intelligent people out there, talk to me in the chat. I want to make sure y'all following these scriptures as they are written. Matter of fact, somebody just shared a scripture, Joel 1:10. Says the field is wasted. Oh, he shared that thing. Look. The field is wasted, the lamb mourneth, the corn is wasted, the new wine is dried, the oil is languished. That's what we get into right now. Nomad's land. Of course, we trust in the Lord and we move accordingly. Let's go.
And so it doesn't work in any way, shape, or form. And quite frankly, we're not even sure what the president wants out of China. Does he want the trade deficit to go away? That's a near impossibility. We have a $300 billion trade deficit with China. Does he just want to solve the fentanyl problem? Does he want to keep the tariffs in place on a prolonged basis? We don't have answers to any of those questions. And if you go back to 2018, when the U.S. engaged in so-called phase one agreements with China on purchasing more U.S. goods, they didn't make good on their end. And that was really a bust.
So, Sam, the tariff war is the battle with China that we see out in the open. But this week, the CIA released 2 new videos aimed at recruiting Chinese nationals to spy for the agency, part of Director John Ratcliffe's priority to increase intelligence collection on China. How do these videos go about persuading Chinese officials to share state secrets with the U.S.? I mean, the internet in China is locked down. It is censored.
That's right. But guess what? You have TikTok, which is what? Chinese spyware. And so now they're talking about is China being able to spy. Look, China got the drop on America. America was made in China. Now, I want to show y'all something because they're getting into more about the politics of it. But I'm going to discuss a lot of that a little bit later on. But we're talking about these empty shelves, right? I want to go to Yahoo News. Let's go to the experts that's going to focus in on that for a moment. Experts reveals exact date to expect empty shelves in stores. Now, this is a very interesting article here, and we could take this information. You could either take it as something that would be a warning, or at least this should stimulate some thought to how you will shop in the future and how you're going to maneuver, because we don't just talk about problems without bringing forth solution. All right. Experts reveal exact date to expect empty shelves in stores. Since the implementation of new tariffs, shipments of products and goods from China to U.S. has significantly dropped, and major U.S. retailers have been sending out warnings about supply shortages to come. But so far, stores have been pretty well stocked. So when should customers expect a change? U.S. import duties on products from China are now as high as 145%. That's a whole lot. And China has imposed 125% tariffs on U.S. products and goods, according to CBS News. And the Port of Los Angeles, which receives around 40%, and all imports from Asia shipments last week were down 10% compared with the same period 1 year earlier. And that number is expected to keep falling. The date when customers could really see the impact of the tariffs is coming up quickly, according to Molson Hart, founder and CEO of Viahart, an educational toy company and imports products from China. So let's make this very clear. We're talking about this happening in the near future, right? It's already in the process. Now, let's continue. It goes on to say, This means that there are no economic effects on what was done on April 10th until May 10th, Hart stated in a post on X. He added around that time is already started to happen. Trucking work is going to dry up. Warehouses will start doing layoffs because no labor is needed to unload containers. And some products will be out of stock, reducing the need for shipping labor. Let me tell y'all something. This is all done by design, y'all. They already told you in the scriptures. The book of Revelations told you, pardon me, that they will stop sending the ships out. They will stop purchasing goods from Babylon. That's already written in the word, man. It's already there. Now it goes on to say, and I mean, just more, we know more layoffs are coming. You know that, we know that that's coming. Mass layoffs are coming. Trump did not spend $500 trillion for artificial intelligence if he had any plans to create jobs for actual human beings. And a lot of people would say that this is negative, but this is actually the truth because you know how to move. Without knowing, you remain ignorant and dormant and stagnant. Nope, America's going down, Babylon's falling. Goes on to say, watch this. Hart also said that even if the tariffs are reversed, the whole situation is a bit like lockdowns. Once you shut down, it takes a long time to get economic activity back to where it was, if you ever can. If retailers have been stocking extra items due to tariffs, it is possible that some consumers won't see as much of an impact until this summer. Port of Los Angeles Executive Director Eugene Soroka told CBS News that the retailers have likely stockpiled sufficient inventory to last only a couple months. But that come summer, consumers could find that many products are out of stock. So we're talking about something happening this summer, ladies and gentlemen, this summer. So keeping that in mind, you want to move accordingly. Now, I want to kind of give you all a template here, right? I'm going to show y'all something real quick. And then we're going to bring some more scripture out. Hold on. 1 week. All right. Here we go here.
New today.
I just want to give you all what you can expect from all of this. What to expect. Tariff turmoil. Empty shelves to hit in waves amid trade war. What to expect. How would this really affect us, right? Let's go.
New today, consumer sentiment plummeting to one of the lowest levels on record amid a fierce trade war. Retailers are warning of empty shelves reminiscent of the pandemic, with the 145% tariff on nearly all Chinese imports in place.
And I also want to share the link in the chat for everybody who is experiencing in their local area job cuts. You're noticing certain things prophetically. You're seeing certain things happening around you. Perhaps, you seeing your job doing certain things, the companies you work for. Let me know what's happening in your community. What are the prices looking like on gas, produce, poultry? Talk to me. So look, the link is in the chat. So if you want to join in, feel free to join at any time, right? Let's go.
Yesterday, President Trump said he's ready to make a deal with President Xi.
Have you spoken to him since the tariffs? When did you last
I don't want to comment on that, but I've spoken to him many times.
When did that happen? And what he said he don't want to comment on that because he has not spoken to China's president. I don't want to comment on that, but I spoke with him many times. That's deflecting. They saying, have you spoke to him since the tariffs? Listen to what Trump said. Because y'all Trumpsters got to wake up.
When did you last
I don't want to.
Listen.
Have you spoken to him since the tariffs?
Have you spoken with him since the tariffs?
When did you last
I don't want to comment on that.
I don't want to comment on that.
But I've spoken to him many times.
But I've spoken to him many times. That means you've spoken to him in the past. Meaning he has no intentions on sitting at the table. Right? Let's continue. When did that happen and what did you discuss?
I'll let you know at the appropriate time. Let's see if we can make a deal.
Meantime, major ports like the Port of Los Angeles are seeing a steep drop in imports from China. And joining me now, we have Lorianne LaRocco, global supply chain reporter for CNBC Business News.
So the drop has already started. Retailers are going to get hit before the grocery stores. All right.
That Lori is also the author of the book Trade War, Containers Don't Lie, Navigating the Bluster. Lori, big welcome to you. So when it comes to the...
And do me a favor, everybody get the like button, hit the likes on the video. Let's get to it. Make sure that others are able to get the notifications. Let's go.
Prospect of empty store shelves. Which products could be hit hardest, and should consumers be worried? I mean, are you seeing a rush to buy certain things right now?
We really shouldn't see a rush because we actually have the items in. It's going to hit us in waves, Alex. And this is what we're going to kind of see with the timeline. Starting in June, this is where you're going
Starting in June.
To start seeing, those items that we love to get really cheap online. Those are the items that are going to get hit first. And those are like the fast fashion, products we might get on Amazon. And the reason why is that smaller businesses, they can't afford to have front loaded, right, all of these items in to beef up their inventory. Then starting in July, this is critical because this is the back to school time, right, where parents are going into the stores to get their kids their school clothes. So you're looking at backpacks, you're looking at notebooks, you're going to be looking at all of these items that some have been brought in, but there has been a major pause.
Yep. So this summer is going to get real. Now I got a couple scriptures for you all. Watch this. This is a major one right here. 2nd Esdras chapter 6 verse 22. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. Empty. Y'all need me to read that again? Somebody post that scripture in the chat. We need that on display. We need that right there on the front page. That's 2nd Esdras 6 and 22. And suddenly shall the sown places be unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. So this is biblical prophecy that you're seeing take place. But guess what the manipulators and controllers got to do? They got to do it incrementally. They got to do it slowly. They got to do it in waves so you can be conditioned. It goes back to the frog in the boiling water analogy. If they could just be consistent and keep hitting you with waves of goods missing from the shelves, if they could just hit you with short waves, right? Then you get used to not having these items. They're going to call this the retail apocalypse. They're going to have hyperinflation, and there's going to be less selection. And then all of a sudden you're going to see less and less items. Yes, it's very methodical how they do it. Now, the frog in the boiling water analogy goes a little bit like this. The frog in the boiling water doesn't know he's being boiled because someone's turning the heat up very slowly, right? He's turning the heat up very slowly, and the way the frog's skin is designed, they don't feel the water heating up until it's too late. They will sit there and get boiled to death. See, the fact that you brothers and sisters are even listening and it's registering that it's going to take some kind of action. There's a miracle that y'all jumped out the pot because you wasn't supposed to. That makes you rare, the fact that you jumped out of that pot and tapped into some knowledge and some wisdom and insight to what's going on, because everybody ain't going to get it. That's what's happening right now. We're going to read that scripture one more time. 2nd Esdras 6:22. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. Empty. Telling you, man. All Bible prophecy. Let's go.
When you're looking at the amount of items that have been brought in, and people are just really uncertain, if you will, is there going to consumer going to buy? We have seen the pullback on a multitude of different, right, economic indicators in terms of that hesitancy. And without really any definitive acknowledgement of what's going on, we're going to see this pullback. And then in addition to the fast fashion and the school clothes, also electronics, because the connectivity, right?
Get your electronics as soon as you can. If you have it, get your electronics, because they're going to skyrocket. And I'm going to bring, hey, listen, each guest that I bring on, I'm only going to bring you in for 3 to 5 minutes. I'm going to let you speak your piece, and we're going to move on to the next guest, because simultaneously we're going to keep on going on with the show. And so I'm going to give y'all the floor when I do let y'all join, all right? But I'll be letting y'all join real soon. All right? Just give it a few, and we'll get there. All right, let's go.
Inventory of the supply chain.
Yeah, I'm going to get to that in 1 second, but let me ask, because you're saying basically we have until June, that the supply is there as of now. Does that apply to the car industry? Because we reported people are rushing out to buy cars or renew leases or whatever they need to do.
Yeah, it really depends on the item. I mean, when it comes to the autos, Alex, it's those tariffs that have already been slapped. And so people are trying to get in there, right? Let's get that car that's out in the lot now before another one has to come in that will be more expensive. So that's why you're seeing that rush for the bigger ticket items.
Okay, so it's about the bottom dollar there. So we learned yesterday that China exempted some U.S.-made microchips from tariffs. Does this indicate that China's back?
All right, so we know about the empty shelves. Now I'm going to start letting guests in, and we're going to chop it up, y'all. Let's see. We got Brother Casper is in the building. What's going on with you, Brother Casper?
Shalom. You can hear me?
Yes, sir. What's going on with you, brother?
Yeah, so I'm actually at work as we speak. Shout out to all the blue collar men.
Yes, shout out.
Yeah.
How's it going at the work site, brother?
Yeah, it's cool. So yeah, to get on the main idea of the topic. I'm in St. Pete / Tampa area in Florida.
Yeah.
What I've been seeing so far, because I literally just left Walmart before I clocked in.
Okay.
What everybody panicking about buying, like the shelves empty, such as bull, like zebra cakes, coffee, miscellaneous stuff that we really don't need.
Right.
What I noticed was still full at the moment that nobody is buying. The canned goods like clam chowder, salmon, stuff like that. They all cost, at where I'm from, $1.25 as we speak. But it's a million of them.
Right.
But such food as like junk food, all that, porkish, that the unclean, the filthy. Everybody is trying to get all that. Nobody is trying to get, toiletry, first aid, alcohol, peroxide, toothpaste. So you're not worrying about that.
Right, that tell you right there, man, everything that happened for the greater good of those who are chosen, because that leaves a little a breathing room for us to go ahead and grab them canned goods.
Yeah,
Because
so
and it's man, that's that. Hey, I mean, ain't the Most High? He's fair. He's fair in his judgment, man. That's
yeah,
why, man. Go ahead, brother. You right though.
yeah,
That's
man,
a
yeah, man.
fact.
Yeah, glory to y'all, man. So I got to a point why I stopped talking now, because people think I'm a madman because I got like 3 to 5 solar generators, panels out the deck. Downsized a lot. I got 2 average beaters that I scoot around in, but no debt and no anything comes with that. Now to put conviction on me because the Most High been dealing with me lately. He be like, hey, man, get off them video games, man. I done blessed you with a good little yard. May not be the biggest. Go till to that soil like Adam did in the beginning, man.
That's
So,
right.
as you see this urgency coming, and nobody is caring, but then you like corn seeds at Walmart, string bean seeds, all that's still $1.25, and nobody touching it. So man, I done racked up my shopping cart, with the stuff that I already have back home. You go to Lowe's, topsoil, compost soil, nobody's touching it. Tools, drills, hammers, nobody touching it, but McDonald's dang up. Empty. Burger King, they line wrapped around the wazoo. So and then you would just think like, it's people. It's like they made a choice in their mind because people think it's going back to normal, and it's not. And like things that like I've been on YouTube trying to look up how to put in your own sandpoint wells and stuff. Those type materials. I'm talking about they in stock by the hundreds right now. You can get them freely, and nobody's bothering it, man.
You know what that is? The Most High giving us a grace period so we can look. We have no excuses.
No excuse.
And like 3 said, they take all the BS off the shelves and leave the healthy nutritions for y'all's people.
Exactly.
But we got to take advantage of it. Know what I'm saying? But not panic. Not panic. Not go panic spin, but pay attention to what you can get for the low. I mean, listen, I recommend couponing all of it. All of us need to be, really considering moving our money around the right way, saving up, getting things that last, getting things that are tangible, getting things that you need while you can. While you can.
Yeah. So to cut things short, I know you got a lot of guests. So I call it groundhog season. I'm just slowly, like I said, I've been stopped telling people because, it falls on deaf ears. But when it does fall, which it already fell, they just haven't felt the sting yet. All the people that did prepare, according to y'all's direction, just be careful because they already killing each other just off whatever. Imagine what they'll do when it's really nothing to get. They already backstabbing, guys sleeping with, homeboys, girls and stuff.
Man, what?
Off little minute things. So imagine what they'll do when they can't feed their kids and stuff now. Imagine what they'll do when they can't, you've been trying to work on how to do your own alternator and stuff, and you got your own parts. Imagine what they'll do when they don't got it, and you took the proper steps to do what you had to do. But even in the midst of, y'all protected people, yes, minor persecution comes, but we win in the end.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well said, my brother. Feel free to join anytime, fam.
All right, man. Y'all have a good night.
You too. Peace. Now, the brother made some real good points just now. Very, very good points, man. And we got to take advantage of the grace period that we got. If there's goods that we can get, especially them canned goods, man, they are highly needed. And it's going to get real out here. Matter of fact, Ezekiel 7:19 says, they shall cast their silver in the streets, and their gold shall be removed. Their silver and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of wrath. Meaning there's going to come a time where what you believe is valued, it ain't going to be able to save you. Not an idol, none of it. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be about your righteousness. It's going to be about how prepared you are and so forth. That's real talk. Let's see here. Let me also, the link is in the chat. I don't know what just happened, but it was like a lot of people in the background. They just dropped out all of us. I don't know if I did something wrong on the panel or what. I don't know what just happened, but the link is right there. Let's see. Somebody said, Tanya says, get rice too. Anything, just something to fill you. Exactly. These are the things that are needed. Sister 1973 says even thrift stores, Goodwill, yard sales. Yep, be able to do something tangible. Yep, somebody says, Shauna says, make my own garlic and onion powder seasonings. That's what's up. Yep, it's going to come a time where the money ain't going to really mean nothing. You want the actual items. You want the actual resources. Practicing fasting is a good idea as well. Yep, canned beans, that's a fact. These are the things that's needed. All right, let me go back to the video here. Let's go.
So how are officials able to view them?
Elites in China do have access to VPNs. It's kind of a selective firewall. It's quite porous. Are these videos going to be convincing? I mean, we do know that Xi is undertaking a massive purge focused right.
Actually, this is the other video. My bad, y'all. The one regarding the empty shelves. Yep, it's this one. Oh no, that ain't it. All right, y'all give me one moment here.
Backing down on some level.
I really don't think so, Alex. I mean, it shows that there's a willingness, right, of the cooperation. But as we have seen with the prior trade war that's still in existence, there is so much rhetoric. And because of this conflicting comments between Trump and the Chinese officials about if a deal is happening, we're going to just continue to be in this like push and pause, if you will, of do we make more things? Do we hold off? What do we do? So I'm kind of hesitant to see that this is like a victory, if anything, for Trump.
Well, walk us through what is happening at our West Coast ports. I mean, how much of a drop in shipments from Asia are they?
Now listen to the drop in shipments coming from Asia on the West Coast ports. So let me explain this. Every time these type of catastrophic events take place in the country, it either goes from the East Coast to the West Coast or from the West Coast to the East. I believe it's going to start off in the West Coast. I've been telling people get out of that area. I believe that they're going to get hit first. All right. Now, that's just my prediction, right? But nonetheless, let's listen to what's going on here.
Experiencing.
We are seeing a massive, massive drop, Alex.
Wow.
You are looking at a 44% decrease in vessels year over year coming.
44% less products coming over. Ladies and gentlemen, that is astronomical. Right? Just understand that. Let's go.
In. And what's really key here, Alex, are the people that move the containers. You need people to move trade. If you have 40% less containers coming in, that is going to impact the people that are the truckers, the railroads, the warehousing. This is more than just us consuming and us bringing in orders. There's an entire supply chain here that is connected to jobs. And so the longer this goes, Alex, we're going to see some significant impact here in terms of employment. In fact, the Port of Oakland, which is a huge port that relies on both imports and exports, are very, very balanced. They've got a 50-50 split. They already started warning on Friday about the detriment when it comes to jobs and the exposure with this.
As you well know, Lorianne, we have seen this week the CEOs of the nation's top retail stores meeting with President Trump and warning the tariff.
So the top retail stores in America have been meeting with Trump. They've been warning him. You know, they've been trying to get him to understand how serious it's about to get. Now, empty food shelves means riots. It means war. It means that those purge folks is out there. So also get you some ammo. That part. That's something you got to keep in mind. You need that ammo. You need it. You need it. We'll just leave it at that.
Could no doubt lead to these shortages. Even if a deal is reached soon, are we in for at least some troubling times ahead?
I believe we are. And the reason why is that trade takes time to move, and you also have to order it.
Well, Trump already said that only the strong will survive. And this is a billionaire saying that. He's saying that only the strong will survive. And, you know, it is what it is. So and we got more. We got some more news, man. We gonna talk about it. I'll be going live again pretty much right after this because Trump, he's back in the news, y'all. He's back in the news. I haven't even covered certain things in this video because I got another stream. Y'all make sure y'all join that one too, bro. Y'all make sure y'all join that one because it's going to be serious. All right, let's go.
The fact that we've had a pause in all of these manufacturing plants. I have had sources tell me in China that there are factories that have literally shut down because they're not making any products for the United States. So if you think about it, remember with COVID.
A lot of jobs that people are losing, a lot of factories getting shut down. Hey, it's coming to fruition. The hunger pains are here. This is the beginning. This is the beginning, y'all. Now, anytime you got the news telling you there's going to be some empty shelves in the near future, you got to point to prophecy. You got to point to prophecy. It tells you straight up there's going to be empty shelves. Tells you straight up. Let's go.
COVID, everything shut down and then everything ramped back up. And so what happens is once you hit that unpause button, it's going to be that rush to make the materials and then get the product on the vessels and back here, which causes congestion and raises freight prices.
Right. Well, hey, ladies and gentlemen, all we could do is prepare spiritually as well as get your tangible items, you know what I'm saying, while you can. You know, get them while you can. Yeah, we have time to do what we need to do. The Most High is having grace on his people. He's having mercy on his people. But you got to move according. You know, you got to start to do. A lot of people don't want to do what it takes. You got people out there that will hear these messages, but they don't actually want to start learning certain things, doing them. And the mass majority of you all watching, though, I do believe that y'all, this is not falling on dead ears. Don't get it mistaken. I'm just speaking of those who just kind of casually, they casually watch the material, but they're not really focused on doing it. Somebody says your volume is very low compared to the videos playing. Really? That's strange. It shouldn't be that way. Mic check, mic check. It does look like it's low. Mic check, mic check. Why are y'all just telling me, though? Mic check, mic. There it goes. Is that better? Not a problem? The volume is fine? Please tell me that wasn't somebody trolling, because when you do a whole stream and people can't hear you, that's bad. That's why I always do a mic check at the beginning. That is better, what I just did? All right, so I just put echo cancellation back on. All right, all right, so people said the volume has been just fine. All right. All right, cool. Somebody said this is way better. It did get louder. All right, I'm going to leave echo cancellation off then. Now, you know, now I know. Well, man, I'm coming right back. We got to talk about Trump, y'all. We got to talk about Trump. And then after that, I'll be live again over there at Nubreed Universal ENT. So, man, if y'all rocking with me on this Saturday night, it's raining outside in Georgia. I mean, it's pouring down outside, y'all. If y'all rocking with me tonight, man, follow me to Nubreed Universal ENT. We got some material to put out over there, as well as I'm about to go back live and put some stuff out on Trump, because something's going on with Trump, and I gotta do what I do, man. But look, man, y'all be blessed out there. I see y'all, a lot of y'all soon. All right, peace and blessings.